When I travel to communities like this one, all over America, I can see what people want. I can tell by looking in their eyes as I pass by in the limo. They want government-sponsored health care and better living conditions for the inner-city homeless and clean needles for intravenous drug users.
As you can see, the Democratic candidate, Cynthia Nightingale, is knocking them dead here in South Carolina, where the crowd is less than welcoming. I think it quite possibly may be because she obviously hates freedom so much. You may recognize Nightingale from her many years in the Senate, where she served as minority whip and attacked freedom and democracy at every possible turn. As you know, a nationwide prayer campaign luckily caused her to develop a bladder infection, forcing an end to her tyrannical and godless reign over the Senate in 2008. Unfortunately, however, she did recover, and she is now going to be a nominee for president in this election. No one can stop that, except maybe you. Dennis Studebaker, Propaganda News.
Jesus Christ.
It's a PGN report. What do you expect?
Come on. They were throwing things at her. We've got a real problem.
What do you mean? She was doing great. Right on message.
What do you think, Reese?
She's awful. I've been telling you boys all along you'd be better off without a candidate.
Now, how are we going to do that?
Mr. Cunningham here has successfully run 2 different campaigns in which a candidate died before the election and still won.
Wow.
Anything you can do with our actual living candidate?
Not much. I think we need to work out an opposition strategy for this List guy.
Come on.
Maybe you boys haven't noticed, but we don't do all that well in elections when there's some crazy guy running as an independent.
You really think people will vote for a guy who wants to kill everyone?
Sure, what's that got to do with anything? He's a real likable guy.
I'm Neil List, and I approve this message.
Now, this is a classic example of why I think it's obvious that modern human life is just some kind of stupid accident. I mean, look at this highway behind me. It's practically standing still, and it's not even rush hour yet. All that time wasted. By the time they retire, some of these people will have spent years sitting in their cars. Now, if you're like me, you're fed up with both Democrats and Republicans, and you'd like to try something else. And I can kill you just as well as they can if I'm your president. It'll just be faster.
By this time, nearly 7% of the electorate claimed to support Neil List. Ralph Nader swayed elections with less than that, and listed all of this without any communication with the press. In fact, in the whole 7 months, there was only one interview and only one person willing to ask the only important question there was to ask.
I've managed to sneak backstage, and I'm going to try and learn something about this guy. Who is this smiling, nice man who wants to kill everybody? I mean, what does he really want, you know? Find out. Hi, guys. Neil. I just don't understand this one thing about you.
What's that?
Well, I've been around this campaign for a few weeks now, and I've seen the way you smile at people. You're a really nice guy. I mean it, you're really sweet, and I just don't understand why you want to kill everyone.
Well, I think I made my reasons clear.
But that just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Okay, Tracy, this election is not just about money and power. It's about a lot of money and a lot of power.
Ann Barkley is the chief political strategist for the Republican Party. Revered and loved by her friends and employers as a vicious and immoral political opportunist.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Miss Barkley.
Love what you're wearing.
Thanks.
I found a quiet place where we can talk.
Great.
Her candor and cynicism have helped form the backbone of post-backlash Republican political thought.
What's this place called again?
This is the Ronald Reagan Memorial Church for people of significant income. I like to come here between meetings. It kind of reconnects me with what this is all about, you know?
Which is?
Doing God's work here on earth. Tracy, that's what the Republican Party is all about.
One of Neil List's campaign commercials says that Republicans and Democrats get their money from corporations that generate income in various immoral ways, and thereby you don't have any moral grounds to stand on whatsoever. How do you respond to that?
Tracy, we have some very serious work to do in this country, and it's very expensive. Now, people can't raise that kind of money in little tiny bits from little old ladies with ghetto crack babies or something. Pinkos and the unions, they can keep their little envelopes with their little bills. I know they get all excited every time some welfare mom from the Bronx sends in $20, but that's not going to get me a ride on a G5 now, is it, Tracy? No.
I don't know. I'm new to politics, but doesn't sound like an attitude Jesus would approve of.
Why not? Jesus hates the poor.
Excuse me?
Tracy, Jesus wants us all to be fabulously rich and powerful to glorify his name. Therefore, it follows that he hates the poor because they're not even trying.
Well, see, I don't really get it because I'm Jewish, so...
Really?
Whew. Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me. Aren't you sweet? Poor thing. You were saying?
I'm Neil List, and I approve this message.
The List campaign is all about learning what issues are important to Americans. So we want to hear from good, normal people like yourselves. What really makes life meaningless for you?
My son died in the Saudi-American war. When will this fighting ever end? How many more of our children are we going to have to lose?
As many as it takes. I'm sorry, lady, but I ain't gonna be speaking Arab, and I'm not paying $30 a gallon. I don't care who has to die. You need to support our troops.
See, it's all this partisan bickering. Makes me feel like we'd all be better off dead.
Me too.
Hey, Neil.
And aren't you tired of always having to vote against the candidate you hate? Instead of voting for a candidate that you like.
Yes.
This time you're going to get a chance to vote against all of them. Are y'all with me on this?
Yes, we are.
Then keep those complaints coming in. When this is all over, they're going to be carved into a stone tablet and shot into orbs. It'll serve as mankind's collective suicide note. Floating forever above the frozen, lifeless earth, it'll let any alien visitors know just what kind of silliness used to go on down here.
Elect Neil List for president and bring silly human existence to an end.
I wanted to learn more about how people make decisions like voting. So I went to Harvard University and I spoke with Professor Elizabeth Dyson.
Let me show you.
She's the head of the new Institute for Advanced Hunches in Philosophy.
Mao. Wow. It has long been known that people often vote against their own best interest. I mean, don't forget that the southern and the western red states were the ones who voted in the Republicans at the turn of the century. And it was they who suffered the most when King George declared U.S. manufactured products illegal. We at Harvard call it the Kansas conundrum. Oprah's talked about it many, many times.